Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Thursday night. It is TNT episode 19 for your Thursday, October 26th, 2023. I am your host, JD from New York, as always, joined by my very good friend and co-host on TNT, Andrew Baydala. What is going on, man? He's got his espresso.
I do, of course. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? How are you, JD?
I'm good, man. Busy week of pro wrestling. I know that this guy This guy over here called me in the middle of Dynamite last night, and we're going to get into it. It's going to be one of the first things that we start off with. He called me last night during Dynamite, and he said, "You didn't like this Kenny Omega MJF match on Saturday, do you?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do." And he's like, "You got to be fucking kidding me. This shit sucks."
Well, it wasn't my exact words, but it was close enough.
So we're going to get into that, and I'm very excited to talk about that. We got Ric Flair and the AEW debut that some people in the community don't really like. I don't see a problem with it as long as he just stays where he is and stays in the background. Endeavor, we'll go over what happened there. There's some news that came out of Wall Street with Endeavor. Apparently, they are not happy with where the stock price is. Is Vince to blame for that? No, not really, but he isn't really a help. And then we'll go over all of the news that came out as far as what they're going to do with major free agents looming and their contracts looming next year in 2024. Plus, we got the PLEs that were announced for 2024. We got a lot to get into, but yeah, man, it's going to be crazy. Follow us on social media, first of all, at JDfromNY206, at Andrew Baydala on X. Make sure you guys go and hit that subscribe button to this channel and go check out all the other content that I have uploaded for you guys. I've been busy all week. It is there for you if you need anything extra or need to be entertained. Man, I'll give the floor to you like always. What do you want to start off with, man? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I want to say something here. Although I appreciate the love, I was not in a car wreck. It was JD's brother. So. Oh
yeah, I seen some people saying that. I hope Andrew's all right. And Drew's all right.
I'm okay. I appreciate the love though.
Yeah,
and I always will. So thank you for that. What do I want to start off with? Well, I want to start off with Ric Flair. How about that?
Okay.
We're going to talk about Kenny Omega. We're going to talk about MJF. We're going to talk about all that. It fixed my eyebrows because I'm already getting mad. My eyebrows sweat when I'm only kidding. My eyebrows don't sweat. But listen, for you to come out here and say, and I'm talking to you, JD, you know, I love you.
Oh, God.
But if you're going to sit here and tell me that it is okay for Ric Flair to be doing anything, and I love Rick, it's okay for him to be doing anything in a professional wrestling ring, you are on drugs. Because if this was WWE, we would never hear the end of it.
Wait a minute. In what context? I never said I want... First of all, I don't want him to wrestle. I never said I wanted him to wrestle, but you got to be honest with yourself, Drew. Apparently, you know, this was supposed to happen, number one, and Sting is retiring, man. If there's one man in Sting's career that he has a rich history with, it is Ric Flair. Why wouldn't you expect him to be a part of Ric Flair, that is, part of Sting's retirement tour?
He can. He could sit ringside. He could even ring the bell. He could even be a special guest referee. But to, like, weave him into this storyline, to me, I have all the respect in the world for Sting and Rick, and I'm not going to stop them from making a buck, and that's what Rick's doing here. But I get the history. I'm a huge history guy. I love the lineage, but come on. We know where this is headed. This is headed to a 6-man tag with Rick in it? Or
no. You think Tony Khan is that stupid to put Ric Flair at his age in the ring?
Homie, if Ric Flair doesn't wrestle in an AEW ring, not singles, I'd be shocked.
That's crazy. I can't imagine Tony Khan doing that. I can't imagine Tony Khan doing that. Now, if it reaches that point, then I'm going to really go nuclear because absolutely nobody wants to see that. And I know you watched, I think you did, you watched his quote-unquote final match. And it was disgusting. It was awful. I got visibly uncomfortable watching the match. It was not good. But according to Dave Meltzer, Drew, Dave Meltzer revealed today, whether you want to use that word revealed or not, this is the reason why Ric Flair's appearance on AEW happened last night on Dynamite. I know that he was going to go there right when the Dark Side of the Ring thing came out. I don't know this, but I was assuming that he was going to go and be a manager for Andrade. Now, that would have been okay if that was the case. I was actually looking forward to that low-key. But he and Tony had a verbal deal, and then after Darkseid came out, it was not the right time. It's the TV contract year, and I think they are really trying to hotshot as many stars for rating purposes because of the name value and things like that. But by doing that, you're also aging the show, and nostalgia when it comes to TV ratings is usually a short drug, not a long-term thing. It's very interesting that Meltzer said, Drew, that the aging of the show, that is very, very true. And I think that kind of, really lends to the fact that AEW is kind of going backwards, and they should not be going backwards. They should be going forwards.
Yeah. First of all, I love that you're in your mother's basement. Second of all, I didn't see that until now. Second of all, I will say this. Dave, for as much shit as I give him right now, is spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, the aging of the show, not to mention, I understand what AEW is trying to do. It's smart business. Get as many popular names as you possibly can on your wrestling program, but in what capacity? And at what point are you hurting your business by doing that? Jericho's talking about bringing big people in. He's got bigger people than Will Hobbs. Everyone thinks it's Goldberg. I don't think so, but you never know, right? But who is he talking about? I don't know. But there's so much talent on AEW's roster, and I get this is it for Sting. You're cashing in on it. I get it. I understand the business. If there's one thing I understand about the wrestling, it's the business. But for me, having Ric Flair coming out on Dynamite was fine. It was a moment I never saw coming. But it works. Now you need to be careful, because I don't want Rick in a ring. I don't want Rick overshadowing anything that Sting's retirement tour is going to be doing. And I love Rick, but he loves the spotlight.
He does. And it's very addicting to him. He is a lover of cold beverages. And this is also one of his vices, the spotlight. It's all got to be about Ric Flair. The addition of Ric Flair, Drew, does this lead to Tony Khan bringing back other people that were a part of Sting's rich history? Does Hulk Hogan get involved, or anybody else of that demographic get involved here? I mean, do fans have something like that to worry about in regards to the Sting retirement tour?
I would say no. I would say Tony really needs to be careful on who he brings in, because you will start to give up the wrong type of vibes.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I mean, RVD looked fantastic.
He looks unbelievable.
That's somebody I want on an AEW roster, even at 52. Like, give me him and Hook. Give me some single matches with him. I'd love to see him versus Kenny. I'd love to see a lot of people versus RVD, even at 52.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair anywhere near a professional wrestling ring in terms of in-ring at 74. They're legends. They've paved the way. I have the utmost respect for them. But Father Time is undefeated, and we are seeing, I mean, Rick struggled to get up those ring steps. And at 74, I get that. He's 5 years older than my father. And I don't think my father could go wrestle a match. And my father was a hell of an athlete, but he's not getting in the ring anytime soon. And we need to stay away from Hogan. We need to stay away from anybody else jumping into AEW, because, again, giving off the wrong vibes. And not to mention, I mean, Tony took to Twitter and blasted Vince, but you bring in Flair?
Yeah, that was the next point I wanted to make. Was the I don't want to say it was an outlash or backlash on social media. You got your quiet minority who want to complain about everything from ratings to what AEW does when Tony Khan takes a shit. It's always a problem. Do they have a right to be upset here? I mean, is it that big of a deal? Is this going to be a draw the way Tony Khan thinks it is, or the way Meltzer described it for AEW in regards to their contract year for TNT? Is this going to boost the ratings to help them get a bigger deal on TNT?
I mean, maybe, but the biggest thing for me, the biggest takeaway I get from this is that I get it. Ric Flair's a big name. And realistically, I wouldn't give two shits about Ric Flair or his past. Just like I don't give two shits about Vince McMahon or his past, because it's not my past, okay? I don't care. But if you're going to criticize somebody on social media and then bring in somebody who's basically done, some things maybe not to the extent that Vince McMahon did, but it just looks very hypocritical. That's just me. If you're going to be this, good person warrior, then make sure that the people you're bringing in or who are currently on your roster are good people too.
Yeah, I agree. Tony Khan has made that mistake a few times in the last 2 weeks or so with his back and forth and his behavior with fans on social media in regards to the Tuesday Night Wars that happened a couple of weeks ago. But that's in the past, and as long as they keep Ric Flair in the background, if he can contain himself and be good and leave the spotlight to Sting and be a supporting player here, I think everything should be fine, and I think a lot of people will have their worries put to rest. You did mention RVD. I do have a little note here on RVD, Drew. Apparently, RVD went on his podcast and said that by taking the AEW dates that Tony Khan has offered him, apparently he has ruined another situation that he was potentially going to be a part of in Philadelphia next year. And he's talking about WrestleMania because WrestleMania 40 is going to be in Philadelphia. Is WWE that petty to see RVD go to AEW to work, with, his Taz's son and do old ECW, homages for AEW with storylines there? Are they that petty to not want to use RVD after obviously he's been wrestling tremendously for them for the past 2 months, on and off? Would they not give him a shot to do whatever at WrestleMania 40 or be a part of WrestleMania 40 weekend?
I don't know, truthfully. I don't know. I petty, maybe. I think that right now when you're stealing guys like Ric Flair and Adam Copeland, who are obviously, they gave a ton to the business and their better years are obviously behind them, even though I think Adam Copeland has some really, really good tread left on his tires. I think that they start to take that as personal. So maybe, but again, this is how I view nostalgia. Nostalgia is a way of, fishing the past from the garbage disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than what it's worth. So just be careful. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It is, but I think Tony Khan has managed guys like that, RVD. In this case,
great. The way he's using him is great.
It's like almost poetic the way he's kind of weaved him into the Jack Perry storyline with the whole ECW thing there, and now bringing him back for a one-off in Philadelphia to team with Taz's son. I mean, it's like it's just a beautiful thing. It's almost like someone mentioned it on social media. I don't know where it came from. I saw it and I used it last night. It's almost like Tony Khan's love letter to pro wrestling. Like he takes one generation and kind of meshes it with this new generation, and it's like what everybody loved about pro wrestling. ECW, RVD. Now he's teaming with Taz's son. It's a beautiful thing.
The way that Tony's using RVD is chef's kiss. Yeah. I love it. No problem. And RVD looks better than he did the last time we saw him. So why the hell not? The biggest takeaway from this is how they continue to use him. And I think that, who wouldn't want their son to tag with somebody who they went through the ups and downs with, Taz's son and RVD. RVD and Taz went through the ups and downs and trials and tribulations of this business together. They're very close. And again, they revolutionized the business together. So I think it's a cool moment, and that's fine. I don't mind that. Just like I don't mind Rick and Sting having a cool moment in the middle of the ring, but that's where it needs to stay. Rick can be in Sting's corner. RVD can obviously still wrestle, so he could do some things, but RVD is not going to be your world champion anytime soon. And Ric Flair should not be wrestling in an AEW ring. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I agree, and I think everybody in this chat agrees. Ric Flair, stay away. RVD, don't mind seeing more of him. I think he could actually have a nice 6-month run if he wanted to in AEW, and he looks fantastic for his age. Speaking of WrestleMania, there is post-WrestleMania news. We're not at WrestleMania yet, but we're gearing up for WrestleMania build, going into Survivor Series, and then going into the Royal Rumble. WrestleMania 40 plans, Drew, with another international pay-per-view or two following WrestleMania 40. Now, first, WWE announced on August 31 that they will be having a show in Berlin, Germany, titled Bash in Berlin. Now, clearly, the creative geniuses were not that creative when coming up with said title because it's very generic. But we got August 31st, Bash in Berlin. And before I get into the other news on WWE International PLEs, man, I find it to be a coincidence that it's the same week as All In, man. Do you think that was a nice strategy of Mr. Nick Khan over there, man?
There is no such thing as coincidence. I don't care whether there's nothing. There's nothing in life that's coincidence. Don't ever forget that, people. I'm telling you, there's no such thing. What a coincidence, Nat. No such thing. And this just goes to show you that WWE, they run a PLE now on Labor Day weekend. That was AEW's, like flagship, their big pay-per-view. WWE is cutting into their market, and they're trying to show just how big of a piece of AEW's pie they could take away. So yeah, there's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah, so they gave up Labor Day because AEW's doing All In. We're like, yeah, let's come up with a new concept over there for Germany. Now, is this going to deter people from going to All In Is this going to create oh man, maybe I should go to this one? No, I'm going to go to that one type of situation.
Let's take a look. Flight from Germany to London.
Drew's looking up ticket prices now for airlines to see what the fans can afford here as of right now.
I mean, wow, that's not bad. It's only 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the flight from most parts of Germany to London is 2 hours. You could probably take a bullet train probably for less if they have that.
Yep.
Track. So, I mean, yeah, I would sit here and tell you that could be a potential problem for AEW. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Depending on the card. And I think it's petty by WWE.
It is petty.
That's their middle name at times. So
now that will closely monitor as we get closer. So yes, they did give up Labor Day, and now they're tapping into that All-In week because they saw exactly what AEW did for All-In and the crowds that AEW drew for Wembley Stadium. Bash in Berlin announced, and there was a rumor going around that WWE may be doing another international pay-per-view, and then SAP on Fightful Select discussed that Backlash is listed internally right now for Paris, France in the spring of 2024. Now, that's not really confirmed yet, but he did report that yesterday. And we also got Australia. Don't forget, the Elimination Chamber is taking place in Australia. So WWE potentially, Drew, would have 3 of their major PLEs. Well, this one, a new one. The Bash in Berlin is a new concept. So 3 international PLEs next year for 2024. Is this going to be something that WWE continuously adds on to year over year? I mean, last year we had 2, minus the Saudi shows. Now we got 3 minus the Saudi shows. Is this going to be something where half of their shows for the calendar year are going to be international?
Last year, this was how the run went, and it wasn't. It went. January was the Rumble, and I believe the Rumble was in. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where the hell was the Rumble last year? I don't remember. Elimination Chambers in Montreal.
Yeah.
WrestleMania was LA, and Backlash was Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And then we had Money in the Bank in London.
Yep.
So basically what WWE did is that they gave you WrestleMania in the States, and then they gave you literally like 4 months off, and you didn't see another PLE in the States until SummerSlam, which is held in Detroit, which is not really an attractive
Backlash wasn't really, I mean, God forbid I
said Puerto Rico.
God forbid I said Puerto Rico's international. I mean, I got fucking reamed on social media for that from all the fucking social studies geeks out there. But
technically, it's not. I get it.
But I mean, it's different. They haven't been there 19 years, so of course people would go to that statement there. Oh, international. But yeah, is this something that we're going to see them add more to the pay-per-view calendar? I mean, I love those crowds. I know you love those crowds. There's nothing like those crowds. So WWE listen. They sold the company. They're looking to make money. You know, those untapped markets, that show's going to sell out in Berlin. Easy. I mean, the show in Paris is going to sell out. How many times do you go over there for a major PLE? They're going to rake it in.
Well, and here's the thing, right? Here's the deal. WWE has not really tapped into the international market in a long time. They are now, and they had in 2023, and they will in 2024. And I think it's smart. Those fans are starved. AEW saw that market and was like, shit, we're going there. Look at London. I mean, and I see somebody in the chat, All In 2024 is August 25th and the Bash in Berlin is August 31st. Okay. How much money do you think these people have that they could go to both? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a certain demographic that will be able to afford to go to both. There's a certain demographic they're going to have to pick.
Yep.
Truthfully. So again, yeah, it's very smart business by WWE. They're going to continue to do that. They're, right now they're as hot as could be. So why not take their act international? They're doing that. I think it's very smart business. And it also starves us in the States. The United States gets starved and we want things. And then we'll go to a B-level pay-per-view, or we'll go to an undesirable, no offense, location for SummerSlam, where I'd rather be in Puerto Rico on a beach in August, but we're going to be in Cleveland or Detroit.
Yeah, that's the other news that I just seen actually before we went live. Sean Ross Sapp said that a very weird, unexpected location possibly could be announced for SummerSlam, and that is Cleveland, Ohio. Now, I know they want to get their big football stadiums and where the Cleveland Browns play, and I know that's where they're probably going to want to be. But of all places, Cleveland, what is there to do in the summer in Cleveland that's going to drive people to go to Cleveland and want to go to SummerSlam?
I mean, what I would like to see them do, I mean, it would run right up against college football season, I would assume, unless they do it early August. I'd love to see them go to Ohio Stadium. It's in Columbus, but that's where the Ohio State Buckeyes play. That's where I'd like to see them because that holds 102,000 people.
Yeah. WWE's not going to sell 102,000 people, but
I mean, the way that they're selling tickets now, you never know. I would agree with you and say no. But
70,000 maybe.
Right, and we're talking about the Cleveland Browns Stadium, which is well, we could look at how much it holds. I want to say 67. 67. So they probably get about 73, 74 in there, adding the floor seats and everything else. So I would like to see them do, Ohio State, but they probably won't. If they go to Cleveland Browns Stadium, fine. I think that's good for them. Do I want to be in Cleveland in August? No, I don't. Or even early July? No, I don't. No offense. Cleveland's, at times beautiful, but again, it's not Miami. It's not Tampa. It's not, anywhere that's like very desirable, but what will bring people to Cleveland or Detroit is the event. And that is SummerSlam.
Yeah, and a lot of the times, it doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of the times, Triple H, Nick Khan, and the people that come up with these strategies to place these PLEs in these specific cities, sometimes it revolves around the talent. Montreal, obviously, with long-term booking, revolved around Sami Zayn because they knew that it was going to be a hot crowd. The Backlash pay-per-view, Bad Bunny, they did that. That revolved around Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. That was tremendous. The Clash of the Castle show revolved around Drew McIntyre and that crowd there, him chasing Roman Reigns. Same thing's going to happen in Australia, potentially with Rhea Ripley being in the main event down there, depending on what they do with her and the Women's Championship. Berlin could see Gunther or Ludwig Kaiser or Imperium, Ilya Dragunov, any one of those guys in the main event in that city. So strategically, sometimes this plays out as far as long-term booking and storylines, and that's why they book these specific cities. You muted yourself.
I said, with that being said, sorry, I was trying to adjust my headphones here. I didn't want to I'd make too much noise. But with that being said, you do need to understand that basically what they're doing, WWE is doing with these locations for SummerSlam is they're basically giving places that are no longer going to hold WrestleMania, in my opinion, or don't have a shot of holding WrestleMania, a chance to hold SummerSlam. I don't think Detroit is getting a WrestleMania anytime soon. And Cleveland, no shot. I mean, Minneapolis at this point would be lucky to host a WrestleMania. So I don't see Cleveland ever hosting a WrestleMania. No offense. But, to what you said, yeah, I mean, the events were pretty, heavily surrounded against, hometown heroes. And obviously Bad Bunny's like a god in Puerto Rico. So that was an easy sell. But I saw your tweet about, who should be in the main event of Berlin, everything else like that. And I think it's a little much. I think as long as you have Dragunov and you have some of the other guys, Gunther and all these other people who are international stars on the card, that's just as good. That's just as good. They don't need to be main eventing, Gunther can, because at that point he should be more than ready.
Well, he should. Well, if things go right, he should be world champion by that time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he should win the title at WrestleMania this year in Philly. But
yeah, and people were making fun of me on Twitter. Oh well, Dragunov is a Russian pro wrestler. Meanwhile, if you know anything about his background, him and his mother lived in Germany for many, many, many years, and he worked outside of a pizzeria, trying to fucking make ends meet with his family. So he is actually synonymous with that area. So that's why I said Ilya Dragunov and Gunther. I mean, they have a rich history.
Explain yourself to me. I mean, listen, I know you do your history, and how many people know that? Probably not many.
So not many people, yeah.
Right. But what I'll say to you is that, remember that it's not. As long as they're on the card, that bill is going. They're going to sell, and they don't need to have. Gunther should be in one of the main events, but I mean, I have a feeling if you're going to do Berlin, Germany, you're going to have Roman Reigns on top of that card against somebody.
Will he be the champion? Hopefully not.
Well, maybe not, but I mean, at that point in time, Roman's still going to be a massive draw and will always be a massive draw. So he needs to be on that card. We'll have to wait and see who comes out of WrestleMania 40 with that title, but it doesn't matter because truthfully, SummerSlam's going to be before this, by the way, too. I saw a lot of people in uproar. Oh, we're not getting a SummerSlam this year. Are you on drugs? Like, seriously, you think WWE's not going to do one of their flagships? They're 100% doing SummerSlam.
What, people legitimately thought that WWE was not doing SummerSlam because they announced this Germany show?
Yeah, because Germany was the first show that they announced, and it's like, guys, just
they're still nailing down. Yeah, that, and they're still nailing down a city. They want to know what city they're going to sucker so much money out of. You know?
Well, and again, it's Cleveland. I mean, Sapp is very good with locations, and I could tell you right now it's Cleveland, unless something drastically changes.
Oh, wow. Look at that. He's telling you it's going to be Cleveland. He also told you that Edge was going to sign with AEW, and half of you didn't believe him. So,
and I told you that
Mercedes is joining AEW. Yep. I don't know.
I mean, you could keep doubting me.
Yeah, doubt him, please. Seriously.
But I do think that, I think AEW is going to stack all in to compete with this Bash at the Berlin. And
absolutely. If they remain injury free, they should. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of WWE, we'll keep with the WWE thing before we get into the AEW stuff. And I know Drew's a stock guy. He has held WWE stock once upon a time. Endeavor is potentially positioning itself for a sale. Now, I don't think so, but I got this article up here, and I saved it for today. And I saw the news yesterday. Brandon Thurston tweeted something out in regards to this. Endeavor investor Silver Lake wants to take the company private. Now, apparently they own 71% of the company. And Endeavor and Silver Lake feel, Drew, that the market price of Endeavor is not where they feel it should be. And a lot of different factors have gone into that. I don't really know what all the factors are, but potentially the sale with WWE, potentially Vince McMahon's aura and his legal ongoings, the fact that Vince promised something in regards to the SmackDown partnership there with them, getting less money than the stockholders thought that they were going to get. Now, the same thing potentially could be happening with Monday Night Raw. A lot of different things are going on there. What is your take on this, and why does Endeavor feel like they need to take the company private now?
I think this is business 101. I think that if Endeavor wants to take it private, they could do some things that they, can't do when they're publicly traded. They also maybe want a year or two under their belts where they're not
in the public eye.
Yeah, that too. And they could be preparing themselves for something. But realistically, what this is, to really dumb this down without getting into the nooks and crannies of the business thing, is I think WWE, TKO, Endeavor, UFC, they want to cut some jobs here so that they can reassess and rebuild their bottom line. And I sold all of my stock before the merger. I kept a little bit. I don't want to lie here. I kept, maybe I think it's 8 to 10 shares, but I had over 100 and I sold it because mergers are messy. Yeah. They really are. And they can go one way or they can go the other. And realistically, this screams to me, like I told you guys last week, watch out with Vince. They are preparing themselves for something. And I don't know what it is just yet.
Is this Endeavor potentially regretting that they got in business with WWE? You think they're looking to back out of a potential deal here with WWE and just kind of separate themselves from WWE and Vince McMahon?
No, this is not that. I think this is them. Like I said, Ari Emanuel plays chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
So I think he's just moving his pieces, and he's making sure that whatever investment he has and continues to have in this TKO is seen through and that it's profitable. And what he's doing is just basically preparing himself for something that could be coming down the pipeline. And again, I think what this says is, hey, if we take this out of the public eye, I could do some things, I can revamp some things, and I don't have to worry about what my stockholders and my investors think. I could just kind of do it.
Yeah. Speaking of Endeavor and WWE's approach for 2024, one of the big discussions is contracts with top talent. Now, Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp have learned that numerous talent, including several top WWE stars, have not been approached for contract extensions. WWE signed dozens of wrestlers to new deals in 2019 that are expiring, but also some that were shorter term are coming due in 2024. WWE has top talent with expiring deals all through next year. I believe Montez Ford or both Street Profits, I believe, are on that list. Drew McIntyre's on that list. Sheamus, Becky Lynch, just to name a few. And most of the talent that Fightful have spoken to were of the belief that with the recent merger of Endeavor and WWE, this will kickstart a lot of contract talks, and several of them are waiting to see what the offers are like when that happens, but it hasn't happened yet. There have been a few negotiations here and there, but usually with talent who approach WWE for raises. Talent themselves have been interested and speculating what this could mean for their future negotiations and if the deals presented will be increased, decreased, or on par with their previous deals since the merger. I talked about this a couple of days ago, Drew. I honestly feel like with the names that I mentioned, like a Becky and a Drew, I think they're going to get top priority here. I don't think Endeavor is going to let someone like Becky Lynch walk, and I do think that they're going to really sit her down and give her what she wants. Everybody else, unless you're a top guy, this is just the way that I feel because I know Endeavor and what they do with the UFC. It's a completely different beast. The pay structures are completely different. The schedule is different. It's just a completely different animal. But with them, I feel like they're going to pay the top stars, and then everybody else down the ladder, they're going to be like, here's a deal, take it or leave it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to get to that point where it's like, hey, take it or leave it. Like you can go, because realistically, Tony Khan's money is long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't really want to play that game. We saw kind of like what Vince had to do when WCW was buying everybody. And basically he just backloaded contracts and basically was like, hey, you can go over there, but Hogan's got creative control and you're really not going to do anything. And look what they did with Bret Hart. All they needed was one example and they got it. WWE did, to where people were just like, all right, I'm getting the F out of here. But you don't have that with AEW. So I would just tread lightly, and I don't think WWE will do that. It's just bad business. What I think WWE will start to do is what you're seeing is or Endeavor, TKO, is kind of get rid of this Legends contract shit. They've kind of turned the most profit they possibly can. Besides, you could sign deals with Mattel and stuff. And everything else that goes inside with the toys and the merchandising. But I think Endeavor is starting to just be like, how many nickels have we sucked out of this guy or girl? And I think it's time to just like be done with it. If they want to go over to AEW at 74 years old or 65, let them,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, we will see changes on the roster with both AEW and WWE. I do feel like Endeavor, like you mentioned before, is going to start cutting budget, and they're going to be looking at where they could save the most money and really capitalize on making a profit. And if that means letting, someone like a Drew McIntyre go or a Sheamus go because of his age and what he's given to the company already for nearly 20 years, they'll be a little bit more easygoing in doing that.
I think you need to pay attention to how much television time certain guys are getting.
Yes.
Drew's in the middle of a program with Seth, albeit Saudi.
Well, for now, I mean, he's still with them until after WrestleMania. So what are you going to, you're not going to use him, right? You're not going to not use him.
Right. But I mean, like Sheamus is nowhere to be found.
No. Yeah.
That's kind of alarming.
Yeah.
So if I'm WWE, I mean, if you don't have an answer from him, take him off television.
Yeah.
When's his contract up? Do we know?
I have no idea. No. But at the same time, where they try to save money by letting people go and letting people walk, we have people like Will Ospreay who are out there who are going to be seeking mega money, who have hired Barry Bloom as their representative. And a lot of people are speculating on where he's going to go. Now, Tony Khan has the resources to give Will Ospreay whatever the fuck he wants, and I truly believe that Will Ospreay is going to get a major money offer from Tony Khan because it would be foolish for him not to do so. At the same time, Drew, someone like Will Ospreay, I know for a fact Triple H was looking at him before he re-upped with New Japan. And now that he has an opportunity and now he's in complete control over there, supposedly, with Will Ospreay as a free agent, I don't think Triple H is going to, let Will Ospreay slip through his fingers again this time. I'm sure he's on the phone with Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel like, we got to get this guy. He's the best pro wrestler in the world. We can make fucking major money off of him, the matches and everything that comes along with him. It's going to be a major signing. But the thing is, a lot of people are already discussing, he's a better fit for AEW because of, his independent dates and him being able to work New Japan and this and that. But I said that I honestly think Will Ospreay would be better suited for WWE, and a lot of people were surprised that I said that. What do you think of that?
I think Will Ospreay is tailor-fitted for any company he wants to go to. I mean, he could work both styles, truthfully. He could work AEW style, and he could fit into WWE style. Now, he seems to have a little bit of an edge to him. When he is, unfiltered, which I love. But a lot of those New Japan guys have always been that. They drop the F-bomb over there and they say whatever they want. And then they'll come to WWE and they'll play in WWE's, sandbox. So I think Will Ospreay is a hell of a talent. I would jump on him immediately. And like you said, I don't think Triple H is going to want to miss on this one. But here's the deal. We need a t-shirt. Triple H and Nick Khan are going to go after Will, but so is Tony. And Tony's money is just as long as WWE's. So it's going to be, what Will's going to do, he's going to look at it and see where is he going to make, because if, it's a couple dollars and cents here, whatever, where's the best opportunity for him longevity wise and maximizing exposure. Now, we had this discussion with Jay White. Jay White would, in my opinion, would have been lost in the WWE shuffle. He made the correct choice by signing with AEW. It'll be interesting to see what Will does.
Yeah, well, things kind of, flipped for the better in regards to Jay White, because when Jay White was being courted by WWE and AEW, and everybody was like, oh, he's going to go to WWE after WrestleMania, he may show up at WrestleMania, Vince was somewhat still kind of looming around there. Now with the news that Triple H is there, I'm not saying that Jay White made a mistake, because Jay White's fucking incredible, A, and B, he's in the middle of the biggest storyline right now in AEW's history with MJF, and he's fighting for the World Championship at Full Gear in November. But I'm not saying that he made a mistake, but I think the times are different now. If Triple H was there, I'm genuinely curious, if Triple H was there the way he is now, if Jay White would have made a different decision.
Well, maybe. But again, if my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle. I mean, I've used that before. And what I'm saying here is that, like, right now, Jay White's stock has risen in AEW, and I'm not quite sure, truthfully, that Jay White is even we're even talking about him on WWE television. Yeah. Truthfully, like, he'd be a great candidate to dethrone Gunther, but realistically, like, then, we have Chad Gable and Bronson Reed and all these other guys who are just kind of like in La La Land again. So I think Jay made the right decision. Jay's young enough to where he works for AEW for however long the 3-year deal is, or if it's 4, whatever. I think WWE will be right there waiting for him again.
Absolutely.
And the landscape might be completely different. Seth might be gone. All these cats might be done.
Roman might not even be there. He may be in Hollywood.
Part-timer. I mean, John's not going to be there in 3 to 4 years. No. John Cena.
He wouldn't have Bullet Club Gold with him. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, no, because the Gun Club is there for at least 5 more years.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a very what if situation there. But going back to Will Ospreay, the whole rumor got started because Impact had Bound for Glory. Will Ospreay wrestled Speedball Mike Bailey. Great match. And a lot of people were like, well, Will Ospreay's a free agent, and he's spoken so highly of Impact Wrestling. Maybe he goes over there. Oh, yeah. He's listen, not to take anything away from Impact Wrestling. They do what they do very well. I'm not a fan of it. Some people are. So be it. But do they have the resources to bring Will Ospreay in full-time over a multi-year contract? I don't know. I don't think so, but I also don't know. Does Will Ospreay want to go over there? Like you said, what is there for him to do long-term, Drew? I don't think him going over there is going to maximize his appearances. I don't think it's going to maximize his spotlight or anything like that. Will Ospreay at this age with the style that he's wrestled, he's going to want a WrestleMania. He's going to want World Championships. He's going to want to be on the grandest stage of them all, no pun intended. But Impact, I mean, come on, guys. Really? It's not going to happen.
No.
And that's the nicest way he could say it. No, I'm sorry, you fucking idiots.
No. I mean, Will has told you he needs to do what's best for his kid, bruv.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about Impact? We're talking about Impact. Jesse, you come get your company. No.
Well, what about the rumor of the whole rumor with Will Ospreay also spawned into CM Punk, because he was 10 minutes away from Cicero Stadium. He was at the Blackhawks game. He's going to show up. He's not going to show up at the end of Impact, Bound for Glory. Then he was backstage at the tapings, and he was giving advice to all the locker room, whoever wanted it. So a lot of people were like, was CM Punk and Will Ospreay going to be the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man of Impact Wrestling in 2024? I mean... Brother, you laugh, but this is what the discussion was. The two mega powers coming together.
How does this even get air? How does this get life?
Bro, the people have no life on social media, man. This is what they do.
Yeah, CM Punk went to Impact Wrestling and was talking to talent at Bound for Glory. Like, wrestlers had done this all, as many years back as they have. I mean, we just didn't talk about it. I understand CM Punk, Phil Brooks is so polarizing. But I don't even have words. Will Ospreay and CM Punk in Impact Wrestling? I mean, shit, they might do better ratings than Collision.
Probably.
Get the fuck out of here.
They get me to watch every week. I said this a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I mean, but I got to see how how much, like debt Impact would be in when they signed both these guys. Because Punk's a multi-million-dollar man, and so is Will. So what are we talking about here? I don't get it. Where you guys come up with this stuff? CM Punk was right. Some of you guys couldn't even manage a Target.
Well, I mean,
let alone a business. What the fuck are we talking about here? The fuck?
This is in the news, man. I gotta talk about it.
Well, whoever wrote this shit needs to be fucking fired.
Listen, Punk and Ospreay are not going to Impact Wrestling. They don't have the resources to do that financially long term. And at Bound for Glory, on a more serious note, I know a lot of people made big stinks, and the news was big on Impact, Drew, going back to the TNA name, Total Nonstop Action. I said my piece on it. I don't really
What did you say?
I mean, it's a name change. If there's nothing else that's going to change, why is it so big that they're going back on something that a lot of people had negative connotations and stigmas about? I mean, when I think TNA, I think of the Hogan Bischoff era and how they tried to go to war with Monday Night Raw and failed miserably. And then Vince Russo and fucking Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett and all that other nonsense. Not to say that TNA didn't have a great history with some, of their top talent that was over there, but going back to TNA and then barely anything is going to change. A lot of people made a big deal out of nothing. The production is not going to change. The show's not going to change. They're not going back to the six-sided ring. Did you hear about this news, and what was your initial reaction to this?
Cool. Cool. I mean, all they're gonna do is sell T-shirts and everything else like that. Like, I this is no disrespect to the men and women in Impact, or TNA. Cool, that's great. Good for you. They should have never changed the name. I don't understand the constant rebranding. You look weak. So now you're going back to what works. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Stick with one name. Stop confusing people. All right. It's always been TNA anyway. I mean, we just have to say Impact, because then jabronis don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, but seriously. Who gives a shit?
Listen, I didn't say it tonight. It's all him. There you go. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. They're still going to be on Access, Drew. I know I also made a point of, well, if Billy Corgan's got a top 20 network investing in NWA, where's Impact? It's like, what the fuck are they doing?
That is a company. I love Billy. That is a company that I would watch, because I think Billy doesn't have the resources.
Well, no, I don't want to cut you off. Nobody's going to watch, because the deal is for 2 a.m. in the morning.
Well, what I'm saying is like, I think Billy will, if the wrestling boom continues, like this is a reboom and the hotness continues, I think Billy might start to possibly invest more money into NWA, and we might see some different things, from Billy. I think Billy's shrewd, man. I mean, he doesn't have the funds to go get, Punk or everything else like that. But I think Billy's got a good wrestling mind, and he'll turn NWA into something I mean, it's already got something going, but he'll take it to the next level. Look at OVW. OVW, you can't buy a ticket right now, and that's because of the Netflix series and the talent they have over there. Shout out to Al Snow, Dave Hero, Cal Hero, all those men and women over there doing their thing. Like, OVW, all they were for so many years was the farm system for WWE, and that's what they were known by. And now the Wrestler series on Netflix took them to a completely different level. So all NWA needs, if Billy's smart, he could leverage that and watch out.
We are going to shift gears over to AEW, because a lot happened on Dynamite last night. A lot of big talking points. We already talked about Ric Flair. We want to get into the MJF and Kenny Omega stuff, and then we'll cycle back to some more WWE news and notes. Quickly, guys, I just want to check on the chat. We got around 1,400 people in here on a Thursday night. Thank you, guys. I know it's not our normal night. My brother had a little situation. He's all right. Tuesday, I was not in the right mental space, so we kind of rescheduled the show for tonight. We'll be back next week on our normal night on Tuesday. But if you guys are in the chat, thank you. Hit that thumbs up. Super chats are open. Get them on in. We'll hang out at the end of the show. And make sure you guys also hit that subscribe button down below for more. We are here weekly with TNT. This is episode 19.
Yeah, 14,000 of you in here. Let's get those super chats rolling. Hit the like button.
There you go. 405 likes. Let's strive for at least 750, guys, if you guys have not hit the thumbs up. Dynamite last night, Drew, I thought was a great show, and I feel like with the way Tony Khan acted with Title Tuesday against the Tuesday Night Wars and NXT, he had a kind of stinker of a show. It wasn't bad, but the previous week's show was not as big and important. Showed up this week. He had a banger of a show. Wasn't perfect by any stretch. There was a couple of downers on the show, but the big highlight for me was MJF and that whole first 30 minutes, then the main event with Bryan and Okada. But that first 30-minute stretch where we went from MJF to Juice for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and then we got the MJF and Kenny Omega announcement for Saturday on Collision, where he will defend the AEW World Championship on TNT Saturday night on Collision. I know I joked in the beginning, you called me, do you like this? I'm like, yeah, I actually do. I'll give the floor to you before I actually give my piece on this, man. I loved it. Why didn't you like the announcement of this match for Saturday night?
First of all, Joseph Garaci, I love you too. Why didn't I loved, to your point, I love the first opening segment of Dynamite. I thought it was so well done. MJF, even though I've kind of crapped on, stars who come out and they just yell and I'm going to beat your ass. MJF is okay for that. That's just kind of his stick, and he's mad. I get it. The Triple B is gone. He's defending the Dynamite Diamond Ring. I thought everything was good. The Devil inclusion, Roddy, everything was just so well done. Then we had the match with Juice and MJF, and I thought that was well done. You had then the challenge and everything else like that. You want this back, blah, 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 blah. Again, very well done. But Kenny comes out, and that is a mega match that we are all like clamoring for. And I understand that MJF is, 3-4 days away from breaking Kenny's longest reign, but we all know MJF's breaking that record, right? So to have this match and to hotshot this because they're in Connecticut, they probably want to sell more tickets. You're not really suspending my disbelief, truthfully. And I think, a lot of people were like, oh, it's Hogan and Goldberg in the Georgia Dome. Not really. But I didn't like the hot shot. We didn't need to do this. I really want to see MJF and Kenny. And granted, we could have a 2, in wherever Revolution is. But, it seems like Wardlow's on his tail, him being MJF and everything else. They did not need to do this. They didn't. They really didn't.
You don't think that this is leading to something that's on a grander scale, leading through October into November and then into December, where they conveniently and casually during the main event announced a new pay-per-view concept on December 29th, World's End on Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because absolutely. I believe that they are going to do the old, before it was, I forget who it was, but they did CM Punk, where CM Punk's contract, the clock struck midnight in WWE and he walked out of Chicago with the WWE Championship and he was in his fridge and he says he's going to take it to all these independent promotions, blah, 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 blah. AEW is brilliant for this. To have the pay-per-view on Long Island, I hope it's at the Nassau Coliseum because I love that building. That's where I got my start in the entertainment industry. And I have so many fond memories there. If it's at UBS, great too. That place is like the Taj Mahal. UBS is on Long Island. So the timing of the pay-per-view is fantastic. AEW is going to do massive business too because it's all everyone's going to be talking about, MJF's contract, and then it's in Long Island. He's going to have his family in the front row, blah, 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 blah. That's all good and well. But him versus Kenny, like, how do we, is there a grander plan, bigger scheme thing? Okay, I'm a big, scheme guy. I want to see where we're headed, and I like the bigger picture. Is Kenny going to win that championship on Saturday?
Listen, we all know that the match is going to end in a fuck finish. We all know. It depends on how the fuck finish is going to transpire. Fine. Yeah. We all know that MJF's going to win the match and retain the championship.
Are you tuning in on Saturday?
Actually, that's a very, very good question. I was not before this match announcement. I will not miss this match on Saturday.
Then there you go, Tony. Then you made the right call.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people will be watching just because of that. I am just somebody who likes to digest professional wrestling. And for me, I wanted a little bit more build here. And you make me want it more.
Yeah.
But AEW is very good at not giving you fuck finishes, buddy. They really are.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why they're so big when they do happen, because you don't really see them all that often. But my point is, 2 points here. Kenny Omega and MJF, yes, there is not really much of a build. It started last week when he said, however many days, 10 days, bitch. Now it's 3 days, bitch. Kenny Omega said to MJF last night, leading into Saturday's show. Does Kenny Omega being the longest reigning AEW World Champion, does he not deserve an opportunity to stop that streak from ending? I mean, in a very sports-orientated environment that AEW says that they are, it just lends to me as being, hey, I'm the previous champion. I own the record right now. You're going to break it. Give me one opportunity to stop that record from being broken. You owe me that. On top of that, it feels like MJF, he needs something that Kenny has. Backup against Jay White. They got a rich history. I'll back you up. I'll help you. Give me a title shot and let me take a stab at that record and retain that record. That's the reason why I like it. They weave this storyline into the Kenny storyline, into the MJF existing storyline with Jay White, and made sense of it to a point where it's actually going to take them into the next couple of weeks, next couple of months leading into this big pay-per-view at the end of the year. Then you get Samoa Joe, who's already shook MJF's hand. He wants a championship match. Hey, man, I'll back you up, but I want a shot at the world championship. So MJF potentially is looking at Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe backing him up against Bullet Club Gold. I mean, I don't know if that's where the storyline's going, but that's the way that I read it watching Dynamite last night.
I mean, I think that these guys want to make sure that, both Kenny, Samoa Joe, et cetera, want to make sure that they beat Max. So they want to keep that championship on Max so that they could be one of the guys to do that. I get that. So they'll back them up until they can get their shot. Fine. Great. Grand. Wonderful. To me, this screams that AEW is really trying to counter program the World Series, which is something that I don't think they really need to worry about, but it seems like they are, because the World Series will be on Saturday on Fox, and most of the world will be watching that. But I said this about college football too. I don't really think that the college football World Series audience is the same audience as All Elite Wrestling's audience, truthfully. I mean, look at NXT. NXT did 787 on a Tuesday where they had a game 7 of the NLCS. I think they make a lot about nothing. And this is a pay-per-view match for me. It really is. And I get it. It's they want to pop a good rating. They want their television. I get it. I understand the business behind it. But for me, I would have loved to have seen this at a major pay-per-view. I would have loved to have seen this at World's End in Long Island. No, hell no.
What would
Long Island?
What would the match have meant if they held off on it and you didn't see them cross paths until the end of the year building into that pay-per-view? What would the match have meant if you did it then instead of doing it now? I feel like the match has more of a meaning now because the streak is on the line. And yes, some people might not think the streak is a big deal. I think the streak is a big deal. They made a big deal about it for the last 2 weeks. That's what the story is. Then they weaved Kenny Omega potentially helping MJF against Bullet Club Gold. Don't you think the match means more now, even though it's taking place on Saturday, than it would be on the pay-per-view at the end of the year, when it would just be another match and some half-ass story that they string together because MJF needs a title defense? Hey, we'll put him in the ring against Kenny Omega. Don't you think the story's richer now than it would be then?
Yeah, I don't hate the whole, what you're saying there. I don't hate that at all. But, and they hold this off till December, sure. But I mean, I get it. The streak, I get what you're saying. It all makes perfect sense. And it Kenny came out and said, hey, I don't deserve it, but give it to me.
Yeah.
You're going to break my streak, beat me. I get it. Storyline sense, it's okay. But realistically, I just think that, Steve Austin had a problem jobbing out to Brock Lesnar in the King of the Ring, right? Why are we doing this? So, and we're not there because the why is there. Kenny's the streak holder and MJF's going to break the streak. I get it. I'm not an idiot. But I just feel as if they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And that's what Steve's biggest problem was with Brock, too. Hey, let's build this shit. Let's make a lot of money over. I'll put the kid over. And I just think that MJF and Kenny, man, that's a match that I would pay money for on a pay-per-view, and I am going to sit and completely watch from start to finish. And now it's for me, I am the oddball where I do like professional sports. So it's I got the World Series and I got college football, but I got this Kenny Omega MJF match.
Yeah.
I just think the timing's bad. That's just me.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying that you can't feel that way. I'm not saying anybody can't feel that way. There's a large portion of social media that thought that same thing. Why aren't they doing it on pay-per-view? I've given my reasons. I got very valid reasons as to why I like it. And I do think at the end of the day, I don't think Tony Khan and the people in creative over there are going to do this match on Saturday and then say, yeah, that's it. We're not going to do MJF and Kenny Omega ever again. I think in the back of their mind, this is one match that we're going to revisit again, and I do think that we're going to get it at World's End, and I do think that it's going to be MJF, Kenny Omega, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, and maybe one other. I do think that we're going to get some sort of multi-man match, 5, 6 guys, whether it's going to be a new concept for AEW. I think that's what the whole World's End name is going to really kind of play into. They strategically chose that name, World's End. Something's going to happen there where it's going to be that, or the payoff for the devil and who that is with MJF, or maybe the contract situation with MJF. Something big is going to revolve around the name of that pay-per-view.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is the devil.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have hammered, they being AEW. Well, Max, we all know you're the devil. And then the devil pops up on the screen while Max is talking. And Max isn't really refuting, but he also says, y'all are not on the level
of the devil.
As the devil.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's a little tongue in cheek here, but it'll be interesting to see where they go and what type of match we get at World's End on Long Island. Beautiful situation there with MJF for the contract. And I feel like a fraud because I said in Long Island. That's something that should never come out of my mouth, but I'm so used to pay-per-views not being on Long Island. So that's my fault. But again, this multi-man stuff, I mean, they're definitely setting it up by all these challengers. There's no doubt about it. And if we're going to introduce like an elimination chamber style match or something to that extent, cool. I love new concepts. And I'll be there. I will do my best.
Oh, you'll be in town for World's End.
I will do my best to be on Long Island for World's End. It's interesting too, because WWE has wanted to run these like New Year's Eve specials, day one specials, New Year Day specials. And AEW took the bull by the horns here, and they're running it, 2 days before New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, which is going to be a Monday. So, Raw will be New Year's Day. So I think AEW made a smart decision here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's got a lot of potential, and they add another pay-per-view to the calendar. They're definitely going outside their box of 4 major shows per year. We've seen them add Wrestle Dream and now World's End. All In was August, All Out in September. So AEW is certainly gearing up for something big next year. What that is, whether that's a streaming deal on Max or whatnot, that remains to be seen. But that was the big happening in the first 30 minutes. I thought the way that they intertwined and weaved storylines, I thought was brilliant. I thought it was just excellent television for the first 30 minutes. The other big thing outside Ric Flair was Chris Jericho teasing that he's got big friends just as big as Will Hobbs. Now, I know a lot of people were like, well, this means that Jericho is getting back together. Now, I don't know who in their right mind wants to see fucking Big Show wrestle in 2023. The last that I saw him, and Jesse saw him, he could not even walk straight. So I don't know if that means Big Show or somebody else in Chris Jericho's past that's big or as big as Will Hobbs. Who do you think this is, Drew? And I seen Big Show thrown out there. I seen Mark Henry thrown out there. I seen Goldberg thrown out there. Realistically, who is this going to be? And what do you think this is going to end up being for Jericho?
I mean, I think the smart money, because I do like to gamble a little bit on sports. I would say the smart money is on, Paul White and Mark Henry just as backup. I mean, I would say the long shot odds would be Bill Goldberg. But there's always a dark horse, and you never know. I mean, truthfully, you really never know who will be Jericho's back. But those two guys are already under contract, that being Mark Henry and Paul White, so it kind of makes sense. I don't think you bring in Goldberg and the amount of money it's going to cost them to get Goldberg to be Jericho's lackey or backup,
Him and Will Hobbs in the ring may actually be interesting, I think. I don't know.
They had Wardlow and Goldberg right in front of their fucking faces.
I know. Well, whose
they
fault is
decide
that?
to go Hobbs. I don't hate it because I love me some Willie Hobbs. But come on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I don't know if it's Big Show or Paul
Keith
White.
Lee.
Keith Lee's another one. We mentioned Keith Lee on last night's show, being Jesse. I think that would be a great way to kind of restart him and get him going again. He's a big guy. Him and Will Hobbs can do some damage for sure. But
Lance Archer, don't forget him.
Lance Archer, yeah. I mean, none of those names are really. Keith Lee's exciting to me because I want to see them do something with Keith Lee. But Lance Archer's not going to generate any buzz for me. For a pay-per-view to happen at Full Gear, I'm assuming this is going to take place at Full Gear. I don't know.
I'm assuming you're probably right, but I mean, no offense.
Whatever.
I don't really care.
I know. It's it is what it is. And then the main event was Okada and Bryan Clearly, they didn't do too much. I mentioned this last night. They didn't do too much in the ring to give away too much coming out of their match at Forbidden Door. I do think that we're going to get that match happening again one-on-one. It's not happening on AEW soil. I think it's going to happen at Wrestle Kingdom for Bryan and Okada. But what'd you think of that main event? I thought it was a tremendous main event outside the ending, which I thought was very weird, the way that they went off the air.
I will say this, barring a major setback or injury, and this could be your breaking news. I don't think it's breaking, but Bryan Danielson will 100% be on Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
100% be on Wrestle Kingdom. And so, in my opinion, will Mercedes Moné.
There you go. 2 reasons why I'll be watching Wrestle Kingdom right there.
Not
at 3 a.m. in the morning, but I'll watch it.
Hell no. I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll digest that the next day.
Yeah. Shifting gears to another major show that we are on the precipice of is War Games, Survivor Series. There was some news about War Games today, Drew, from WrestleVotes. And regarding War Games, they say on Twitter today, I'm told creative within WWE has gone back and forth for a while now on the matchup for Survivor Series. Within the last few weeks, the thought was to keep the story only on Raw, but the sense from a source is that now that has changed. Now, I don't know why they would keep things on the Raw side for the War Games. It doesn't really make sense when they've already kind of intertwined Raw and SmackDown, Bloodline, Judgment Day, Cody and his buddy, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. Everybody's all over the fucking place. So why would they want to keep it on Raw when the match obviously calls for Judgment Day, Bloodline, and their partnership to kind of come to a head against Cody Rhodes to build his story going into WrestleMania?
I think the War Games match happens. I could break that too if you want. I think the War Games match happens. I think we see Judgment Day members, make sure I get this right. Finn, Damian, and
Solo.
Dom taking on Solo, or with Solo and Jimmy, taking on Jay, Cody, LA Knight,
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, more than likely, yes. There you go.
So Roman, in your opinion, not going to be a part of War Games?
No, I do not see that happening unless something very drastic happens. I don't think you're going to see Seth versus Roman either. Like
that was my next piece of news here. A lot of people were starting that speculation too.
I see that being bounced around, and to me, I don't see who win. Like, I don't see how anybody comes in. They've done it at the Rumble. They did it magically and masterfully. They need to let that match stay away. Could Roman defend his championship? Maybe. Could Roman be entered into War Games? He absolutely could be, because I would take out Dom and throw Roman. But I know right now the plan is to not have Roman in War Games. So we'll have to wait and see.
That's interesting, because I have Roman a part of War Games. I have Roman, Solo, Jimmy, Finn, and Damian on the heel side, and then Cody, LA Knight, Jay, and Sammy and KO on the babyface side. I think that's going to be War Games. Speaking of Dominic, the reason why I don't have Dominic in War Games with the rest of the Judgment Day is because of what happened on Raw. I think Dominic and Logan Paul team up against Rey Mysterio and Ricochet at Survivor Series.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. And I've said this before. I said that Logan Paul is coming for a championship, and it's not the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's not, Roman's undisputed WWE heavyweight title. And Logan Paul is winning that United States championship.
As he should. I mean, if he doesn't win the championship, I think that's a creative blunder right there.
100%. And he will 100% win that championship. There's no doubt about it.
There was a report about that segment from Sap. Sap got hassled by geeks online because he didn't really say anything but the truth. He said that WWE is absolutely piping in crowd noise, and it's disgusting because it takes away from the heel that Dominic and Logan Paul are on WWE TV. Now that this is a major talking point, Drew. I know this is just on the minor scale of things in the news, but I
want to say this.
It's something that people bring up regularly, and it's very noticeable. But Sapp called it out, and if he called it out, he's not going to call out shit for no reason. But it is apparent, and I do agree with him, that Logan Paul is a fucking heat magnet. Why do you got to add to what already is a great heel in Logan Paul?
I could say this. I was in Minneapolis for a Raw, and you could not hear Dominic talk when he took the mic. So they might add to it. There's no doubt about that, which I think is asinine. But I could tell you that from being there live in the crowd, you can't hear Dominic when he was talking.
And I believe you. I believe all the clips I see. I believe you. But the perception is when people are there, they take their phones out. Look, he's getting real heel heat. They're not adding anything to TV, but they are. You're there. You're not watching the TV show. We are. We agree with you. But the thing is, WWE is adding on top of that to make it sound artificial, and that's where people have a problem with it.
Yeah, and you know what, they've done it before, so people are just kind of like, hey, they're doing this. I can guarantee you they're doing this, and they might not be, but I can tell you that the reaction and the heat that Dominic and Logan Paul get is very loud. And I do want to mention one thing. You could see if Roman is in War Games. I want to go back to this real quick because we're going to get off topic.
Yep. If
Roman is in War Games, watch out for one of the members of Cody's team, Cody and Jay's team, to get injured, quote unquote, or beat down right before Survivor Series, and a la Randy Orton.
I like it.
Won't be Punk, guys. I can promise you that CM Punk will not be a mystery team member. I can't see it.
Punk was already asked about Survivor Series, and he mentioned that, the show's sold out. There's not a ticket to be had. I'm not going to be there because Larry, my dog, is going to get surgery on his ACL. His doggy ACL, he said. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank God he takes care of his animals. Good for him.
Yeah, we got to get him a gift. Jesse, we got to get Larry a gift. So
maybe that'll draw him to Impact, Jesse.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But I do like that. Randy Orton. And you mentioned that, I believe it was either last week or the week before that, Orton's return is imminent. And I did go a step further on my end, on my show, and I said that Orton and Roman Reigns is going to be your World Championship match for the Royal Rumble.
I like it. I don't hate it. I think Randy and Roman singles match for the WWE Undisputed Championship is a money match. I like that. And, listen, Tampa is well sold.
Yes, they are sold out. I actually have a piece of news on that, too. Survivor Series is going to be great. I can't wait for Survivor Series. But as far as the Royal Rumble, I know, yes, St. Petersburg spent big money to host the Royal Rumble in 2024. This is coming from a report with Catalyst. Jason Latimer, Public Relations Director for Visit St. Peter Clearwater, revealed that they spent $500,000 of its tourist development tax funding in its successful bid to secure the Royal Rumble for 2024. That's a lot of fun.
100% it's 100% accurate, and they will see the money come back in tenfold. So yes, I mean, Tampa's a desirable destination in January. Not to mention, if you go back and look, WWE got a boatload of money to bring Backlash to Puerto Rico. WWE is on a whole different level when it comes to bringing events to different cities and states. They're bidding on them, and they're giving WWE money to bring the events because they see the return on the investment. Just like JD and myself do this, once a week. JD does it more than once a week because he sees a return. If he didn't see a return, he would do things differently. WWE is seeing a return on this, and they're making cities bid on their big events, and it's smart business by them.
As far as the news, I think that is everything I have on my end. They got this one little piece here on Brock Lesnar not being booked for Crown Jewel. Meltzer, or actually Mike Johnson said that they're loaded up with the show. Logan Paul, John Cena, LA Knight. They're all there. So Roman Reigns. So they felt like they had more than enough of traction to that show. So they didn't need Brock Lesnar, which I actually agreed with, because why would they book a Brock Lesnar match and take one of those matches off the table for this show when there's no build, when they can save it with a story and for a WrestleMania somewhere down the line. So he's not going to be a crown jewel, which I absolutely agree with. But outside that, Drew, I'm all good on the news unless you got something else you want to talk about.
I got a couple things. Yeah. Triple H nixed the idea of brand-specific PLEs or pay-per-views for those who don't speak WWEs anymore. What do you think about that? I think it's a great move because, truthfully, and then I'll obviously let you give your piece, but I think it's a great move because you start to get talent who shouldn't really be on a PLE the exposure, but then the PLEs, in my opinion, seem less of a PLE and more of a Monday Night Raw plus. Yeah,
you took the words out of my mouth. At one point, back in 2016 when they did that concept, I actually liked it because you've seen, people that they called up from NXT at that time, Baron Corbin, and I remember Heath Slater and Rhino were a tag team, and then they went up against Fandango and Tyler Breeze or whoever was the tag team champions at that point. Undercard guys getting on pay-per-view like that, there's a pro and a con to that. The pro is you always want to see WWE invest in some of the lower end talent to bring them up to be equal or on par to everybody else that is a star on the show. At the same time, they're not big enough stars, and it's going to bring the quality of the pay-per-views down. But the thing is, Triple H has done 6 matches at most on these B-level pay-per-views, these PLEs. They already feel like Monday Night Raw lights as it is. You want to actually go a step further and do brand versus brand and lessen the pay-per-views when they are feeling like Monday Night Raw already. And I'm talking about like, what would we just have? Fucking Extreme Rules or the Fast Lane? I mean,
yeah,
it felt like Monday Night Raw light.
Right, if you go look at Fastlane was very much SmackDown heavy. And then if you go back and look at Payback, it was very Monday Night Raw heavy with a couple of SmackDown matches thrown in there. And I think that's the smart way to do it. This way you don't like pigeonhole yourself into like, well, we can only book Raw guys. We can only book SmackDown guys. That doesn't make any sense. What they're doing is they're basically taking a pay-per-view. 6 out of the matches, 4 of them or 75% are Raw exclusive. And then the next pay-per-view, 75% of them are pretty much SmackDown exclusive. But you always have Seth on both, defending the title on both shows. And that's what I discussed at length with you a couple times. Like, that's what you need. Like, when Roman's not around, Seth could be your catalyst on these B-level pay-per-views and hit your workhorse, and he has been.
Yeah, and you can't have brand exclusive pay-per-views when Roman Reigns is on SmackDown and he takes fucking 4 months off in a row, and you don't have a world championship on SmackDown to defend on a SmackDown brand only pay-per-view. The United States Championship or whatever is not gonna. There's not going to be enough talent there to solidify a main event for those shows. Like it doesn't work in the current landscape right now.
Well, I have a couple questions on NXT. Did you watch Halloween Havoc?
I watched some of it, yes. I saw Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Championship.
So I predicted that Lila would win that championship, and that's why Becky was holding that NXT title to elevate younger talent and get them over, and that's what she did. What did you think of the call?
I was actually split on it because I didn't really understand why, of all people, she dropped it back to Lyra. Now, you could make a point. Why didn't she drop it back to Tiffany Stratton? Well, you said a couple of weeks ago that Tiffany Stratton's getting called up to the main roster.
She doesn't need it, brother.
Yeah, I agree. But if she's not going anywhere, I don't know why she didn't drop it back to Tiffany Stratton. Now, Lyra Valkyria, the way that my mind works is, all right, Becky beat Indy, Becky beat Tegan, Becky beat whoever else was down there. I don't know who else she wrestled. Tiffany Stratton she beat twice. But the way that I look at it is, you got a fellow countrywoman who you drop the title to. Of all the people, you couldn't drop it to somebody that wasn't from the same hometown as you. It's
didn't she train her?
Maybe. But, you go to that, conspiracy. It's like, of all the people, that's who she dropped the title to? Is NXT's women's division now better because Lyra Valkyria is the fucking women's champion?
But what Becky did was elevate that division. She had a war with Tiff. Yeah, absolutely. What did she elevate? Well, she brought a ton more eyeballs over to that division, a ton more eyeballs over to NXT. Which
Maybe
is what they want.
Their ratings didn't reach 800,000 this week.
But JD, you want to talk about fucking ratings? NXT outdrew Dynamite. What are we talking about here?
But that doesn't matter. When Dynamite was on Wednesday, NXT was on Tuesday. NXT didn't have the NBA to go up against, did they?
No, they had Game 7 of the fucking NLCS. Are we serious right now? Don't be an apologist. Don't.
They were both great shows, is my point. Who gives a shit?
Fine. Well, you know what? Fine. They were both good shows. I don't really give a shit about the ratings.
AEW lost to 5 women's matches. That's great.
Yeah, I don't really care about the ratings either, but I mean, we got to call a spade a spade. So I don't really give a shit about the ratings, but I will say that I think that Becky brought a lot more eyeballs to NXT. Now we'll see what they do without her. Because that's
she did. You know what my question is? Where does WWE go with Becky Lynch now? Does she go back to Raw? Does she stay on NXT? Who does Lyra Valkyria defend the championship against? We saw Jade Cargill in the main event standing on the little eagle perch there above commentary. Is she going to wrestle Lyra? I don't know. What does Becky do now?
I think Becky goes back into it. She's going to be probably in a women's War Games match if they have it, or she'll start a new feud. I think that they're really starting to build towards her and Rhea towards WrestleMania. Again, Survivor Series is where you start to see this stuff, so pay attention. They've already kind of hinted at it. So I think onwards and upwards for Becky. Becky was treading water, doing nothing after the Trish Stratus feud. She really wasn't. She wasn't doing anything. That's what WWE has a problem with. I feel like they have fucking convulsions when, oh my God, I can't book Becky Lynch in a title match. What do we do with her?
So that's why they put her on NXT. I don't think she aided or added much to the division at all. I feel like it was better than Charlotte when she was down there as the NXT Women's Champion, but I don't think she really did anything outside of enhancing Tiffany Stratton. That's it. I don't really see what the big deal was and what she did down there. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
I can't stand you. I'm just kidding. Did they announce? I don't know if this is breaking news. I just got a text. Did AEW announce the location for the pay-per-view on Long Island?
Yes, Nassau Coliseum.
All right, cool. Because my buddy was just texting me, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's 100% at the Coliseum." So that's great. That's awesome.
I may or may not be 20 minutes away from there.
Yeah, my parents' house from where I grew up, and my first apartment is like literally 15 minutes from there. So I'm gonna do my best to be there, and we should do an event circling that pay-per-view.
I think so.
But I will say the last question I have is Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, for all of you who don't know who that is, said that he believes there's one man to dethrone Roman Reigns, and it's not The Rock. And he believes that The Rock and Roman Reigns match will never happen. He says he just doesn't see it happening. He believes that Cody will finish the story and Roman Reigns and The Rock will never cross paths. Your thoughts?
I don't know if that's the case. You know, the Rock is good. The Rock is not in the Hall of Fame, correct? Is he in the Hall of Fame?
No.
He will be, obviously. I think what was The Rock's last match against Eric Rowan, right?
Yeah.
Was 8 seconds? Rock is not going to go out that way. Just
no, he'll have a match, but I just don't know if it's against Roman.
I mean, for them to go their separate ways and Roman to be elevated into the next phase of his life, I do think that the story calls for them to eventually cross paths. I'm making a prediction. I do think that it happens. It won't be at WrestleMania 40 because that's going to be destined for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. But at the end of the day, who the fuck knows? I mean, they may be doing hush-hush because I honestly feel like the reason why it didn't happen at 39 is because they wanted the sale to go through and they wanted the first flagship Endeavor WrestleMania to include Rock and potentially Punk now and whoever else they want to bring on board. But I do think that they're going to cross paths, but he's not wrong. I do think that Cody will finish the story. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense.
All right, so I'm going to give you the quote. Kevin Sullivan says, if it's the two of them at WrestleMania, what do you do? Because now you're really under a microscope business-wise because the people who just bought you are saying you've got The Rock and you're going to beat him. He just did a movie that did $360 million worldwide. We're going to beat him. And then on the other side, can we beat Roman? I don't think that match ever takes place. What do you think?
So in his thought process, Rock can't lose because of the amount of money his last movie made? Is that what he said?
Yeah, kind of. And here's my thing. Like, if you
what does that have to do with pro wrestling?
Yeah, well, I think it's because of the Endeavor people. But I think what this is going to come down to is why I think it doesn't happen. And Kevin's got his opinions, and Kevin's booked and done a lot of things in the wrestling business that I give a lot of respect to. But it's all about Dwayne and whether The Rock wants to actually do business. And it seems to me like he has well, what do we do that's never been done before? Well, you two fucking facing each other is something that's never been done before. But it seems like The Rock wants more. So I don't know. I don't know if this ever happens.
Listen, if The Rock wants WrestleMania, WWE will give him WrestleMania. And if their plans include Cody, they're going to go with The Rock. Now, the best case solution is if they want to really make history, I don't really care if The Rock wrestles Roman. He's not beating Roman. And Roman is not losing the championship before WrestleMania because that would be fucking stupid. So what you do is Rock shows up, wrestles Roman on night one. Roman beats him. Cody wins either the Rumble or the Chamber, preferably, in my opinion, the Chamber. And then Gunther gets the Rumble to wrestle Rollins at Mania. Gets his championship match on night 2 of WrestleMania. Gets Roman, and the Roman Empire crumbles on night 2, and Cody finishes his story. So that way you get Roman, Rock night 1, Roman, Cody night 2. I mean, to me, that's something that's never been done before of that magnitude. I mean, I don't know.
I don't hate it. I just think that if you're going to go that route, you just need to be careful. And again, I would love to see Roman Rock. I would love to see, Roman Cody. But I'm getting tired of the whole waffling thing. So either give us the match or don't. Move on from it, truthfully. Like, I don't want to keep talking about whether or not Rock's going to do this match with Roman. Is it happening? You're starting to lose my interest, Yeah,
well, because it's been 3-4 years now.
Right.
I'm going to be at Mania, and then he goes back on it. And then when Hollywood opens up, You know, John Cena already mentioned that at the last post-show media junket there with WWE. When they get back, there's insurance policies and reasons about why he's not going to be able to wrestle. So same thing's going to apply to The Rock even more so. So if he gets back to Hollywood and Hollywood opens up and the writer's strike ends and the Actors Guild strike ends, it's over. You know, we like Kevin Sullivan may be right. We may never see it. And by that time, Rock's going to be what, 53, 54 years old? No, he's not going to want to wrestle, and I'm not going to want to see him wrestle.
Right. I agree.
Anyway, is that it? Is that what we got?
That's all I got.
That's all we got. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us on Thursday night. Not our normal night. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming on Tuesday, but we are going to get into the Super Chats here right now.
I do have something to say before we say that. I am so happy you talked about Cody in the Elimination Chamber, right?
Yeah.
When they announced Cody and Priest, I thought to myself, oh, fuck. Are they going to do the Money in the Bank contract on the line? And I'm happy they're not for Crown Jewel. I'm happy it's just a singles match and that's it. Because I thought to myself, God, please don't do this. Guys, don't do this. And they didn't.
We still have 1 week. We don't know what they're capable of.
Paul, don't do it.
I don't think Triple H is going to do that. I think when Priest cashes in, he's going to lose. He's going to lose.
I've already given my theory on that. Don't you dare.
I know.
Triple H, don't you dare.
I've already made a prediction. It's going to be Priest and Balor at WrestleMania.
I like it.
Oh, you know, that's a good thing. Jeremy 2006 in the chat. I know we talked about him for a few weeks here on the podcast. Lexis King, Drew, on NXT. Did you manage to catch the former Brian Pillman Jr. debut on NXT, and what'd you think?
I did. I thought the production was top-notch.
Yes.
I thought that Brian or Lexis will get better, and I think NXT was the right call for him.
Yeah, I love the entrance. I love the throne that he kind of slides out on. I like his look. I think it's very, they changed the name. He's not Brian Pillman Jr. He's going under his own name now, Lexis King. But at the same time, he looks so much like his fucking father, the way he comes out. You know, it's like, you know who he is. You know who he's related to. Yeah. And I love the hair, the whole fucking cheesy white smile, the white teeth. The only thing I don't like about it is his finish. He's got to change his finish.
Yeah, that's, I really mind my P's and Q's when it comes to in-ring stuff and work rate and everything else like that. Yes, I trained. I've never had to call a match, so I stay away from that type of stuff, but I would tend to agree with you. I would like to see his finisher be changed to something that is
a little bit more less set up on the ropes like that.
A little less clunky.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Yeah, I enjoyed his debut on NXT. I think he's going to do very well down there. He definitely fits the vibe of NXT for sure.
Yeah, I give him 6 to 8 months, and he might be a world champion down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we're going to get into the Super Chats in just a second, but please hit that thumbs up. We got 543 likes. I love if we can get to at least 700. We had over 1,400 in here for a Thursday night. I know there's a lot going on. NBA's on, NFL football's on, so I know you guys are going to be busy with other things on a Thursday night, but the great thing is you guys can catch the show whenever you want. So appreciate you joining us live for those that did. Follow us on social media at JDfromNY206, at Andrew Baydala on Twitter. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below and go and check out all of the other content on the channel. Lunar Guardian, for 14 months. Thank you for re-upping. Lunar Guardian, cheers to the best community in the IWC. Thank you so very much. Joseph Gonzalez with a $4.99. I think Triple H's goal is to swap out older talent like Sheamus for younger talent like the ones in NXT and young free agents like Ospreay. I think Triple H is going to want to retain whoever he finds value in. And Sheamus, I don't know why people think Sheamus is old. Sheamus still has value. He may be a veteran, but Sheamus is the type of guy you want on your roster.
Yeah, and I've said this 100,000 times. I think that Sheamus and the Viking Raiders, look at how much time they've invested into Ivar now.
Yeah.
Those guys would be very, very well suited to jump over to AEW.
Tay with a $4.99. Gunther vs. Dragunov at Berlin for the World Heavyweight Championship. Book it, Triple H. We'll see. Dragunov's got to get called up first, and right now he's the NXT champion. Jason Martinez with a $5 super chat. Clever. TK strikes back. All Elite Wrestling, World's End, AEW, the World's End totally stood. By the way, you are both doing great. Great duo. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks.
Paul David with a 21 months Raw vs. SmackDown War Games in 2026. No. I don't want to see anything Raw versus SmackDown. They could do a Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination, but for it to be a whole concept for the entire show, no thank you.
I think they're trying to like weave in the whole Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis thing, but I don't know how long that and how much legs that's going to have.
Well, hopefully they do a good job at separating the brands so that when they want to revisit that, it means a little bit more, because right now they've destroyed whatever the brand split rules are, and it doesn't really mean much.
I think that's the biggest thing they need to focus on is the hard brands.
Yeah. Paul David, thank you so much for 21 months and also a $10 super chat. Evening, folks. Midway through the first half, Buccaneers and Bills are tied at 10.
Wrong.
That was at 9:18.
17-10.
There you go. Magician Sapphire with a $10 super chat. Maybe off topic, but I don't want Mercedes Moné to go to AEW. If TK doesn't shape up the women's division, she's going to be another wasted star in a garbage division with no creative investment.
What's his name?
Magician Sapphire.
Well, Magician Sapphire, you better pull a rabbit out of your ass because Mercedes Moné is headed to AEW.
And she may be at Full Gear for all we know.
Oh, she's 100%. My prediction is she's at Full Gear.
There you go. Michelle Moran with a $5 super chat. During War Games, do you see Judgment Day and the Bloodline turning on each other? And who would you have win the War Games and why? Judgment Day, Bloodline, or Team Cody? I'm going with Cody. Absolutely going with Cody.
I think that makes the most sense. I would also, we got to see some women in the Bloodline, right?
Yeah.
Because we got, Rhea kind of calling the shots for the Bloodline or for Judgment Day. So, who's her counterpart in the Bloodline and that type of stuff. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Jason Barker with a $100 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Always coming in big. I've been waiting for this podcast all week. Andrew Baydala, I always love your input. Gives a down the middle view. JD, keep up the hard work. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it.
Cue the content guy with a $4.99. Great show. Question: what happened to Wes Lee? Did he get called up or has he been released? Wes Lee was actually, I believe he was on NXT in the background during a Carmelo Hayes locker room segment. A lot of people are predicting he's the one that attacked Carmelo Hayes, or actually he's the one who attacked Trick Williams and not Carmelo Hayes. So that's the going rumor right now. Okay. But he's still there. And Wesley's great.
Yeah, Wesley is unbelievable.
John 10 with a $2 super chat. I have a feeling Roman beats Cody at WrestleMania. No, Cody's winning the title at WrestleMania. There's no reason why Roman should win again.
If they do Cody Roman 2 and Cody doesn't walk out with that championship around his waist or on his shoulder, they're done.
People will be questioning why he even jumped.
Well, I mean, your main event back-to-back WrestleManias is one thing, but to lose both opportunities, like, at one point, do you just sit back and just be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Cody. But
yeah, Cody's going to finish the story, no doubt about it, at WrestleMania, and he will be the new world champion on SmackDown. Potentially, hopefully, he brings back the Winged Eagle or something along the lines of the Winged Eagle.
If not sooner.
Yeah. Well, you want him to win the title before WrestleMania?
I wouldn't like it, but I'm gonna be in Tampa, and if they don't go Randy versus Roman, then yeah, I think again, as much as I don't want them to, I think Endeavor and WWE will cater to Dwayne. If he wants that match and he wants that singles match, I think they're gonna hotshot a championship, removal from Roman.
We'll see. Again, interesting. Dame with a $4.99. No message. Thank you, brother. Beyond the Script with a $1.99. AEW was a banger show. Hell with the ratings. I agree. People make a big deal about it, man.
That was just, I was just talking. It's just factual information. I could care less about the ratings. Jesse said it right. I've said it before, and so is JD. I don't give a shit about the ratings because they don't fill my pockets. I don't care. So what I'm saying is that, if we're going to compare Becky Lynch and she's not doing anything for that brand, I said she was. I don't give a shit about the ratings. As long as the wrestling's good, they could do 10 million for all I give a shit. Who that helps is the companies.
I think a lot of people undervalue what is going on right now in the month of October. This is always a terrible time for pro wrestling.
Oh,
always.
God,
I mean, NFL, you got NBA, you got hockey, you got baseball. I mean, all four major sports are happening tonight. Like, what the fuck do you want?
And that's the thing. All of them are happening, and it's tough. I mean, you have like I said, Game 7. You got NBA tip-off. If they were running a show tonight, they got the NFL on Thursday night. So, I mean, there's a lot of competition.
Yeah. And Edward with a 26 months. Thank you so much, brother. How much longer can WWE get away with Jade just posing around before WWE pulls the strings on her to do something regardless of what brand she's on?
Survivor Series.
You think so?
they have continued to show Jade. They're going to give Jade some more shine. She'll probably be in Riyadh. She'll probably do something, you know, on a Raw or SmackDown where maybe she gets in the middle of the ring and we do something. But Jade's going to wrestle, I think, at Survivor Series. I think that's the right time and the place. And you could hide Jade in a 5-on-5 elimination match. You really can.
Yeah, and she's got enough of a moveset where she can come in and eliminate someone with that big boot, or eliminate somebody with a jaded, or do something along those lines, and, you know, really take a page out of what Nia Jax, I believe, or Shayna Baszler did a couple years ago in the Women's Survivor Series, just fucking go in there and slay everybody with one big move.
Absolutely, I agree.
But I do think that they are waiting. They're seasoning her in the Performance Center, and they want to keep her in everybody's mind and eyesight, so that's why she's on these shows. But
couldn't agree more, JD.
Thank you, Edward, and that is the last of the super chats tonight. We appreciate you joining us on TNT. We're about to get out of here. Drew, any final words before I hit the Mustang?
No, there is bigger things in life than professional wrestling and sports entertainment. Make sure you use this as an escape from reality. Make sure you take our show, WWE show, AEW show. I don't care who you're watching. Make sure that you can escape what's going on in your life, because there's so much bigger things going on in our world and in your life than professional wrestling. Enjoy the life that you were given, because you're only getting one.
Thank you so much, guys. We will be back regular on Tuesday, 8:30, TNT episode number 20. Thank you so much for joining us on the journey to 20 episodes. Love this show and love that you love what we do here on Tuesday and sometimes Thursday. But thank you guys very much. Next time you see me live will be tomorrow night, Friday Night SmackDown, and I have more content for you guys throughout the weekend, leading into that big show on Saturday with Omega MJF for the World Championship. Until then, guys, have a great night, have a great Friday, and I'll see you back on SmackDown right here on OTS. I'll see you guys later.